Hello, help keep these videos free, current, and available for every student. Consider supporting by scanning the QR code to contribute. Any amount helps. Thank you. Alright, in this video, we're going to walk through one of the newest ISEF forms, Form 2A, the Student Support Disclosure Form. Because this one is new, this video is going to be much longer than the average ISEF paperwork support videos I provide. Are you ready? Now, before we get into the boxes and blanks on the form, let's start with the big idea. This form is not here to get you in trouble. It is not here to make your project look less impressive. It is not saying that you cannot have help. Actually, it is almost the opposite. Form 2A is here to make sure your project story is clear, honest, and complete. Science is rarely done completely alone. Student scientists work with all types of people like teachers, mentors, lab supervisors, parents, professors, technicians, graduate students, and engineers, just to name a few. Getting support is normal. What matters is that you are honest about what support you received and that your own work is clearly understood. So think of Form 2A as the transparency form. It answers three big questions. Who helped you? Was any support paid for? Did you use generative artificial intelligence or AI during your project? Let's walk through each section. So who fills out Form 2A? Per an email from ISEF Science for Society dated August 21st, 2021, Form 2A is required for all projects and requires students to disclose the support they received while completing the project, including paid programming and AI use. Team projects may submit one form with multiple signatures. Let's start with Section 1, Adult Sponsor. Your adult sponsor is usually the adult who helps make sure your project follows the rules. This might be your science teacher, research teacher, fair coordinator, parent, or another adult who is familiar with your project. You will list their name, organization or school, email, phone number, relationship to you, expertise, contribution to the project, and duration of support. Let's slow that down a bit. Relationship to student means how you know this person. Are they your teacher, parent, club sponsor, research coordinator, mentor? Expertise means what knowledge or experience they bring. For example, maybe they are a biology teacher, chemistry teacher, engineering teacher, school science fair coordinator, nurse, environmental scientist, or someone experienced with science research rules. Contribution to project means what they actually helped you with. Did they help you understand the ISEF forms? Did they review your research plan? Did they help you think through safety concerns? Did they connect you with another adult who could supervise your work? Be specific, but do not exaggerate. For example, you might write, "My adult sponsor reviewed my research plan project addendum, helped me determine which ISEF forms were needed, and helped me understand the timeline for approval before experimentation." That is very different from saying, "My adult sponsor did my project," and hopefully that second one is not true. The goal is to clearly explain the support without making it sound like someone else completed your research. You will hear more about the adult sponsor in the video for Form 1, the checklist for adult sponsor, because Form 1 is where the adult sponsor helps identify which additional forms may be required for your project. Now on to Section 2, the direct supervisor. Not every project will have a separate direct supervisor. Sometimes the adult sponsor and direct supervisor may be the same person. Sometimes you may not need a direct supervisor at all. A direct supervisor is the adult who directly supervises certain parts of the project, especially if there are safety concerns or specific procedures that need adult oversight. For example, if your project involves hazardous chemicals, tools, equipment, some engineering tests, or other activities that need supervision, you may have a direct supervisor. In this section, you will again list the person's name, organization, contact information, relationship to you, expertise, contribution, and duration of support. Here is a possible example. My direct supervisor was present during testing that involved power tools and helped ensure that I followed the safety procedures described in my Risk Assessment Form 3. That example also connects to another form. If your project has risks involving chemicals, equipment, tools, devices, biological agents, or human participant testing of an invention, you may also need Form 3, the Risk Assessment Form. We will explain Form 3 in a separate video because that form focuses specifically on safety, risk, precautions, and disposal procedures. For Form 2A, you are simply identifying the adult support you received. Now Section 3, the qualified scientist. A qualified scientist is usually required for higher risk or more specialized research. This might include certain human participant studies, vertebrate animal studies, projects involving biosafety level 2 organisms, or other research that requires advanced scientific knowledge. If your project requires a qualified scientist, that person will also complete Form 2B, the qualified scientist form. This is one of the important changes in the new ISEF forms. What used to be called Form 2 is now Form 2B. Form 2A is the student support disclosure, and Form 2B is the qualified scientist form. So here is the easy way to remember it. Form 2A is completed by the student to disclose support. Form 2B is completed by the qualified scientist when a qualified scientist is required. On Form 2A, you are not replacing Form 2B. You are simply identifying the qualified scientist and explaining what support they provided. A strong description might sound like this. My qualified scientist reviewed my research plan before experimentation, trained me in the lab procedures I was allowed to perform, supervised safety procedures, and helped me understand how to handle the materials appropriately. Notice what that says and what it does not say. It says the qualified scientist reviewed, trained, supervised, and supported. It does not say the qualified scientist designed the whole project, collected all the data, analyzed the results, and wrote the conclusion. That distinction matters. ISEF wants to know what you did and what adults helped with. Now, Section 4, Additional Supporting Adults. This is where you list other people who helped your project but were not already listed as the adult sponsor, direct supervisor, or qualified scientist. This could include a parent or guardian, a relative, a graduate student, a university professor, a lab technician, or anyone else who gave meaningful support. This section is important because support can come in many forms. Maybe someone helped you learn how to use a tool. Maybe someone showed you how to access public data. Maybe someone helped you understand a computer program. Maybe someone gave feedback on your engineering design. Maybe someone helped you build a prototype, collect samples, transport materials, or understand safety procedures. You do not need to list every person who ever said good luck or that sounds cool. But if someone gave meaningful help that affected your research project, they should be listed. A good rule is this: if a judge or review committee would want to know about that person's contribution in order to understand what work was yours, include it. And if one person served in multiple roles, you do not have to rewrite all the details over and over. List the person fully once and then refer to them by name in the other role. Section 5, the duration of support. You will notice that the form asks for the duration of support for each person. This means you should explain how long that person supported the project. Was it 1 meeting, 2 weeks, the entire school year, only during the safety training, only during data analysis, only while you were working in a lab? This helps reviewers understand the level of support. For example, 1 meeting before experimentation, or weekly meetings from September through December, or 3 lab sessions in October. Something like these. Again, be honest and specific. This is not about making the support look smaller or bigger. It is about making it accurate. Section 6, the Paid Support Disclosure Form. 2A asks about paid support. The question is direct. Did you or your parents pay for any support for this project? This could include tuition, program fees, paid mentorship, lab access, help with documentation, or other project-related support. This does not automatically mean the project is not allowed. Paid programs exist, research camps exist, mentorship programs exist, lab programs exist. But if payment was involved, it must be disclosed. For example, if your family paid for a summer research program where you received lab access and mentoring, that should be explained. If your family paid an outside consultant to help with statistics, documentation, coding, design, or another part of the project, that should be explained. If there was a fee for access to a research program, science camp, online mentoring platform, or laboratory experience connected to the project, include that. A possible response might be, yes, my parents paid a program fee for a summer research program. The program provided access to lab space, safety training, and weekly mentoring. I designed my research question, collected my assigned data, analyzed the data, and prepared my own presentation. That kind of response is clear. It explains the support and still explains the student's own role. Do not hide paid support. The form is asking for it directly. Now, Section 7, AI Usage Disclosure. Now let's talk about the section that will probably get a lot of attention. Generative AI, Form 2. A asks, did your project involve the use of generative AI? This might include tools that help generate text, summarize information, write code, explain concepts, organize ideas, brainstorm research questions, edit wording, create images, analyze data, or produce other content. If you use generative AI, you need to disclose it. That does not mean every use of AI is automatically wrong, but it must be transparent, and your project must still represent your own work. The form asks you to provide an attachment explaining what generative AI was used and what parts of the project it was used for. It also asks for an AI prompt log that includes the prompts and responses from the AI tool or AI wrapper used. If you do not have access to the original prompt log, then you should provide a summary of the prompts and responses involved in your project. Before submitting a prompt log, remove personal identifying information about yourself or others. Do not include private details, personal addresses, phone numbers, private student information, or anything else that should not be shared. Here are some examples of AI use that should be disclosed. I used AI to help brainstorm possible research questions. I used AI to help explain background science while I was learning about my topic. I used AI to help debug code. I used AI to help organize my notes. I used AI to revise grammar in sections I had already written. I used AI to help understand statistical tests. I used AI to generate possible keywords for literature searching. But be careful, using AI to help you understand something is very different from using AI to do the thinking, writing, analysis, or citation work for you. The 2026 to 2027 rules are especially clear that students are expected to do independent work. Generative AI should not be used to write your research plan, abstract, poster, or citations for you. Why citations? Because AI can make up sources. It can create citations that look real, but are not real. That is a major problem in research. So, if you use AI, document it carefully and make sure the final research, writing, analysis, and presentation are truly yours. In another video, we will talk more about where AI disclosure also belongs in the research plan project addendum, especially in the acknowledgement section. For Form 2A, the key point is simple. If generative AI supported your project in any way, disclose it honestly and attach the required explanation or prompt log. Now, Section 8, Student Attestation. At the end of Form 2A, you sign an attestation. That means you are certifying that you have told the full truth about the support you received. This is serious. You are saying that you did not leave out important information and that you did not provide false information. This connects directly to the ISEF ethics statement, which applies to all projects. Science depends on honesty. That includes honest data, honest writing, honest grading, honest citations, and honest disclosure of support. So before you sign, pause and ask yourself, did I list everyone who meaningfully helped me? Did I explain what they actually contributed? Did I disclose paid support? Did I disclose generative AI use? Did I avoid making it sound like I did work that someone else actually did? Did I avoid making it sound like someone else did work that I actually did? That last one matters too. This form should give a fair and accurate picture of your project. Now, let's go through a few common mistakes to avoid. Mistake number 1, writing none because you think support looks bad. Support does not automatically look bad. Hiding support is the problem. Mistake number 2, listing a person's name but not explaining their contribution. Do not just write, Dr. Smith helped me. Explain how. Did Dr. Smith review the research plan? Provide lab safety training? Supervise procedures? Help you access equipment? Provide data? Explain background science? Mistake number 3, forgetting relatives. If a parent, sibling, aunt, uncle, grandparent, or family friend gave meaningful support, include them. Mistake number 4, forgetting informal experts. If a mechanic helped you understand how to build your device, list that. If a nurse helped you understand safety procedures, list that. If a farmer helped you understand soil sampling, list that. If a coder helped you troubleshoot a program, list that. Mistake number 5, not keeping an AI prompt log. If you use AI, start a simple log early. Record the date, the tool used, the prompt, the response, and how you used or did not use that response. This is much easier to do as you go than to recreate later. Mistake number 6, assuming Form 2A replaces other forms. It does not. Form 2A discloses support. It does not replace Form 2B for a qualified scientist. It does not replace Form 2C for a regulated research institution. It does not replace Form 3 for risk assessment. It does not replace Form 4 for human participants. It works alongside those forms. Okay, let's bring this back to the main point. Form 2A is about transparency. It helps reviewers understand the people, programs, payments, and tools that supported your work. That does not take away from your project. In fact, when completed honestly and carefully, it helps protect the credibility of your project. Science is not just about getting results. Science is about being clear about how those results were developed, who contributed, what tools were used, and what work was completed by the researcher. And in this project, the researcher is you. So take your time with Form 2A. Be specific, be honest, give credit where credit is due, disclose paid support if it applies, disclose AI use if it applies. And make sure that anyone reviewing your paperwork can clearly understand your independent contribution to the project. For now, remember this. Support is not the problem. Lack of transparency is the problem. Form 2A is your opportunity to tell the full, honest story of how your science fair project was supported. Congratulations! You got through this whole description of the new Form 2A for ISEF. Remember, help keep these resources free, current, and available for every student. Consider supporting by scanning the QR code to contribute. Any amount helps. Thank you!